hate to be pessimistic, but I have to be realistic. I have to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't see it going well. I see it getting worse, unfortunately. And you're right. I mean, there's so many problems in the US that could be solved, but they're not being solved. First of all, the homelessness. Now, I haven't lived full time in the US since 2018. Every time I've only gone back 2 times since then, but every time I've been back, it has been shocking the level of homelessness, and especially when you're in China, but not just in China, by the way. I mean, China has basically no homelessness. I've been here over 2 years and I've never seen a homeless person, and I've traveled around. It's not just China. I mean, people act like as though it's like a uniquely China thing. Like even in many other parts of Asia and some parts of Europe, you also don't see homeless people.
Right.
It's a huge issue in the U.S. And it gets worse every time I go back and every year. And objectively speaking, the data, which is always a conservative, underestimate, the data gets worse every year. So the poverty, we talk about how housing is completely unaffordable, which is why there's so much homelessness, but also electricity is now becoming more everything, healthcare, education. It's just so expensive to live in the US. And wages have been pretty stagnant really since the 1970s. I mean, there's been a little fluctuation, but real wages have been pretty stagnant. And certainly they've not kept up with productivity gains. And even productivity gains recently have slowed down a lot. People say, well, with AI, there will be more productivity gains. That's probably true, but there will also be more unemployment and underemployment, this is something that really concerns me. And that's actually why there's been a lot of debate about low fertility rates. Obviously, there are a lot of economic problems that come from that, especially for paying for social programs when you have more and more elderly people on Medicare. Like, obviously, with lower fertility rates, that is an issue. But I think actually a bigger issue is underemployment and unemployment. We're already seeing a lot of people coming out of college, they can't find jobs. Youth unemployment is a big problem. It's also a problem in China. They're trying to solve it, right? And especially with all of these white collar jobs that are being automated, they're not being completely eliminated, but instead of a company hiring 10 software engineers, they might only hire 2, right? So we're going to see lots of underemployment. These are going to be big issues that are going to cause so many problems in the US. And I think China is actually in a much better place to solve these issues because the government is so powerful and because it has a socialist oriented economy that can say, okay, fine, like where the state is going to do something, they're going to provide a job, they're going to provide a job guarantee, whatever. Like in the US, I don't see any political will for that, which is why instead I think a job guarantee is a much better proposal than universal basic income. But we've seen that Sam Altman actually has been funding a lot of research on UBI, universal basic income. Elon Musk has been floating this. I think this is a catastrophic idea. Basically, what they're going to say is that millions of people are going to be unemployed and they're going to be paid like $1,000 a month of a check to just have enough money to survive, to
Right.
not have any productive life, to not be part of a community. That is crazy. But that's what these big tech companies want because they need these people to be on their platforms. That's how they make money. But
Yeah.
people can't be on the platforms if they can't survive. So, like, unfortunately, this isn't even talking about the political polarization. Economically, like, what is the vision for the future of the US economy? Like, I mean, sadly, like, there are all these stupid conspiracies about the World Economic Forum, but it is true that, like, the World Economic Forum is like this, they're just controlled by these big corporate monopolies, these new oligarchs.
Right.
And it's true that the World Economic Forum had this famous slogan that you'll own nothing and be happy. And some people claim that this is socialism. No, it's the opposite. It's like corporate feudalism. Like that's the vision of all these big tech companies is they own everything. Elon Musk becomes a trillionaire. No one has a job and they all pay rent in order to you pay rent to use Netflix, you pay rent to use your toothbrush, you pay rent to use your car. Like and they're now having these things like I saw this crazy report recently how all of these US car companies are now, in order to repair your car and get a part, you can't go to like a local mom and pop repair shop because all of the software is designed in a way that only a actual manufacturer, like only Ford or GM, only their certified repair shops will allow you to fix your car. And John Deere is doing this with tractors. I mean, like, this is crazy. Like, it's all just monopolies. It's all rent seeking. For me, that's the reason that there is so much political polarization. If you actually had a government that cared about working class people, that provided like an actual standard of living that was high, where people could afford it, not only afford housing, but afford to have kids. We ask
Yeah.
why birth rates are so low. They're so low because no one can afford to live in places where all the jobs are. If you want a good job, you have to live in a big city. If you want to live in a big city, you have to find housing. Housing is insanely expensive. How are you going to raise kids in a small apartment? I mean, all these issues are related together. But what we've seen is that under both parties, it's a complete oligarchy. I mean, like obviously, when with Trump, it's just he's taking the mask off. But it was true under Biden. It was true under Obama. Obama bailed out Wall Street. Not a single banker went to jail after committing fraud. In the case of Trump, I mean, he invites all of these big tech oligarchs to his inauguration. They sit with his cabinet members. Unfortunately, I'm really pessimistic about the situation. There needs to be fundamental, radical change